Hi, my name is Valentina Rossetti, and I'm a PhD student here in Bologna. Today, with Valentina Pasqual, we'll present a project on the digitization of auction catalogs based on a semantic approach with the goal to trace the history of the auction market between 19th and 20th centuries. This is a regional project and coordinated by Federico Zeri Foundation, one of the most important centers in Europe in the art history field. And working on this project other players with a multidisciplinary team. So the project aim is to make accessible and enhance the oldest collection of auction catalogs dating from 1869 to 1929 in the Zeri Foundation Library by creating a semantic catalog. This is a unique collection in Italy and one of the most important collections in the world, and consisting of in total 37 auction catalogs. And of these, the oldest part is 1,900 catalogs. These catalogs come from 6 different countries, USA, England, Netherlands, Germany, France, and Italy, and are written in 4 languages, English, French, German, and Italian. The function of these catalogs is to document and to describe art objects that were put up on sale in these public events. And the content and the structure are very different because there are different layouts inside this kind of book. In particular, there are always a cover and a description of lots. Sometimes there are other linguistic objects, some preface, index, and attachment, and so on. Here is some example, and the cover and front page usually are very standard, have a very standard layout. On the cover, there is a title of the collection on sale, and on the front page summarizes all the main information into the catalog. Like, for example, auction house or type of object or the collection owner. But the description of the layout presents a very different layout. And in particular, we studied a sample of 150 catalogs that shows 8 different layouts. So this means that there could be much more. And for us, it's very important to understand the main information to extract them with the LLM or OCR. We study some scenarios with the art historian of Federico Zeri Foundation. And we identified 27 research questions that is possible to summarize in 5 main categories, like lots identification and description, object classification, attribution and authors, auction houses and market trends, and historical enactments. Sorry.
So at the moment, we are still working on preliminary catalog analysis, all the things that Valentina told you until now. But actually, what is new about this project is that we are trying to develop some kind of general workflow that includes an incremental and process-oriented pipeline, which is defined in several stages that extend and refine the outcomes of the previous stage. What this means that actually, besides the set of catalogs that are currently digitized by the AD Lab, one of the partners of the project, we also have another 2 data sets The first one is it's a set of metadata extracted by the scholars working at the Federico Zeri in the Federico Zeri catalog, and also from the OPAC SPM catalog. So in this case, we have all the we have already digitized and semi-structured all the information about the catalogs itself, just with basic metadata, and also some basic information about the auction events described in the catalogs. So one part of the pipeline would be the harmonization and the data cleaning of this existing data in order to produce a first RDF data set, which will include at least basic information about auction events and catalog information and descriptions. For what concern the analog catalog digitization, at the moment the ID Lab is actually scanning the catalogs, and at the moment we have 1,000 catalogs currently digitized. At the same time, the lab is also using some kind of LLM-driven page classification in order to distinguish in this preliminary phase, in this digitization phase, different kind of pages in the scans. So, for example, trying to disambiguate the front cover from a lot description. In the meanwhile, we are performing some benchmarking on OCR techniques in order to perform an information extraction that seem to lead us to use LLMs, because as Valentina told you, it seems that we have a very heterogeneous set of structures in the page's description of the lots. So it seems to us a good case study in order to use LLMs in order to perform this kind of information extraction. And in this case, we want to target, first of all, lots descriptions in order to get at least the description of the artwork sold in each auction. We are defining a priority matrix in order to address, in relation with the research question provided by Federico Zeri Foundation, which are the most needed information to be extracted by the LLM. And we are targeting first the lots description, and then we want to integrate as much as possible also the information from the covers and the frontispiece, which means the information about the auctions, events, and also the catalogs to be integrated again with the already existing data set from the Zeri catalog and the OFAC SBN catalogs. The main drive-through between these two main parts of the pipeline is that we are developing some kind of model of incremental semantic data model, which means that actually each data set will be integrated with the same data model that will be updated as much as the data will come from the different data sets. And the same approach will be used in the design, implementation, and publication of the semantic catalog.
We created a specific data model outline, specific for the art market. And in particular, we use Digital-Semantic to model the general entities of cultural heritage, such as events, activities, processes, actors, and the relationship. And then we used the linked art, the application profile of CRM, to model for more specific concept about the art market, for example, the concept of lots. And then we used the Getty vocabulary to model the terminology and the key concept in this specific sector of visual arts.
So we are also starting in the meanwhile to design the semantic catalog, at least from an information architecture point of view. And we are planning to have three main sections. The first one is a summarization of the overall project, presenting the framework and the methodology used. The second one is the actual semantic catalog with an explore section, which will involve the three main entities of data set, which are catalogs, events, and lots. Since at the moment we are working on the first two data sets, we are actually working and implementing the part concerning catalogs and events, while lots will come next in the next month. Lastly, since this application is actually has been developed by looking at the research question, every kind of information which cannot be integrated in the catalog will be then added in another section, which is the data visualization part, which is mainly in charge to explain to the users the trends, the main trends of the market in that time snapshot that we are analyzing at the moment. So actually the project at the moment is very preliminary, and as you can see, we have more challenges than results at the moment. So we think that the main challenges overall about our project is that we are trying to orchestrate all these different processes on different kind of data in an effective and efficient pipeline, trying to avoid as much as possible manual intervention between the art historians that are working with us. And also we want to try to employ LLMs for both information extraction and classification, where it seems that rule-based methods may fail due to high data heterogeneity in our catalogs. So more specifically, what we've seen until now is that at the moment, from the data modeling perspective, existing cultural heritage ontologies, like for example, our backbone ontology, CRM, seem to be suited not for incremental pipelines, but more in order to translate and to get static and complete data sets. Once the data set is ready, then you use CRM. And also for what concerns the LLM integration, we are trying to measure and benchmark in cost-effective solutions, because on the one hand, we want to get high-quality data to be getting in the application, but also we want to try to maintain an open source perspective on our pipeline. So LLM integration, we will use LLMs as a tool for information extraction and classification in different parts of the pipeline. And I think we all know about all the problems of snowballing effect, since we are using them and then again and again. So we are trying to understand in which part of the pipeline we want to include a human in the loop in order to block this kind of snowballing effects, which I think this will be a challenge in both terms of time and human resources on the project. And finally, for what concerns the semantic catalog design, we want and we need to develop something that is aimed for art historians. So we really want to leave all the complexity behind in order to develop a platform that can answer to their research questions. But since we are working in this kind of modular and incremental approach, we don't know at the moment how much data set will be completed at the very end of the project. So this can be at the very end a limitation of our application, since at the moment we don't know how many information we can extract from the catalogs. And I guess we finished.
Thank you, Valentina. So, questions? Yeah.
You talked about modeling events about the art market, and I was wondering which type of events, because I'm interested in like the transaction that maybe the request of someone for that particular artisan object, or the price for that, and all of these kind of events that are integral to the exchange of this. And also another question, if it's only about the art market in terms of art, physical art, or also votes and other types of object to sold and
Votes. You said votes. I didn't get it. Books.
books.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Thank you. Sorry.
So yeah, if it's only about the art as in Digital art or
Like visual art, you mean,
Yeah.
or also like?
Yeah.
Libri, no? Okay, so for what concerns the first question, of course, the catalogs portrays only some kind of information. In our case, the main events are the auction event itself, and also the previous exhibition that is done in the previous day before the actual auction. So these are the two main events that we are modeling. We have also something else, like for example, we model also some kind of sub-events on concerning these two main events. But since data is really sparse at this point, it's kind of difficult to actually populate the data model. So at the same time, at the very first time, we stay on these two kind of main events, the auction and the preliminary exhibition. For what concerns the second question, it is mostly on visual art. We have also some catalogs that actually are selling also books, but visual art is the main focus of the collection of catalogs, for sure.
Thank you for the presentation. And I want to ask if you have encountered some cases of mistaken attribution, because also in the art market, attribution is always changing, and the critical point of view can give a contribution or new also iconographical meanings. So I want to ask if you deal with that and if the model also deal with that. Thank you.
The many of the loop here and try in this process.
Thank you for the question. This is actually very interesting because at this moment, we are like working on preliminary analysis on the structure of the pages in order to do some kind of distant reading, information extraction from this. And this is the central point. We don't know how many information we can get with LLMs at the moment, because it's like language in the description of objects and in the lots. It's very, very different. So we still don't know. But something that we were like casually chatting in our research group was like that actually, since we have attribution and we are modeling them in our data model, and we really want to extract all this kind of information, hopefully, actually can be confronted with other sources of databases to see if they changes. But since we didn't started with the information extraction part, it's very difficult to say if we can actually extract this kind of information satisfyingly and with some kind of high quality on the data. So I guess it's just very early to say this, but we want to, of course.
Just to have a reflection on this point, when we first deal, this is some kind of commission and research which a lot of people is working on. And this part is related to the research we are doing, that they are doing. Okay. But when I was dealing with Francesca Gambelli, which is the responsible for the project, and we imagined to reflect on the problem of the authorship attribution, she told us that the ocean catalog a lot of time has a number of such a fake information.
It's very common.
That they prefer not to use any case of reflection on attribution made within the actual catalog, because of the fact that most of the time, since they wanted to sell at a higher cost than the one that was considered before, they attribute to, important paint artworks that are completely not attributed.
Also the iconographical, because really annunciazione is more related to the aid except for others.
And so it's a quite a fake document.
Yes. That's the point of having a checking layer to see what are the differences. And
Yes, you have to compare to other data sets, surely that's. The point of the attribution was one of the discussed, and for this reason, people from Fondazione Zeri, but we don't know if we want to follow this.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. A question of final part, yes.
For your presentation, I was wondering, like, I know this is out of scope maybe of the project, but it's like a curiosity. Since today we were talking about formulaic modalities to deal with the very specific kind of objects, for example, in law. So we have formulaic quotations and the stuff that repeats within the text. I was wondering if the catalog is like very formulaic in certain way. So are you planning or are you curious about the language used within the catalog of art for selling artworks and stuff like that, and how they, like, if we are just saying this right now, how they try to sell these stuff in a very good way to make them buy.
Abbiamo le
Like
case
that.
praticamente
And
delle
how
battitore,
it's not the
abbiamo
correct, but I think it would be another step of the project.
Questo è bellissimo.
Yeah, that's actually very funny because like they use very like colored ways of describing things, and that's actually true. I mean, it is some kind of qualifier, like they're trying to qualify the objects. Bellissimo, spettacolare, unico. Yeah. So actually, this is a very nice idea. We kind of included some kind of qualifiers in the model, but it's in our priority metrics. Unfortunately, it's not on the top of it. But for sure, once you perform some kind of OCR on the documents and you're able to identify that this is a lot description, actually, this is something that we can perform on a further step of the work, I guess. But that's for sure extremely interesting and very funny.
And also all the different terminology referring to the same kind of object.
Yes.
Dipinto, quadro,
The taxonomy used within the
Yeah.
to reconcile.
within the catalog. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so if there is no more questions, I will give a big applause to all the speakers.